Hello, everyone, and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the MLB DFS Core Pick live stream for today, March 30th. Pretty much how this is going to go moving forward. Days that we have a video the day before, me going over a recap, kind of talking about how the picks turned out, similar to basketball if you were following for NBA DFS as well. Kind of going through some of the weather spots. Doesn't really look like there's too much weather spots going on in terms of today. Obviously, some of these teams are playing in colder environments that could affect hitting a little bit. Probably favors pitching a little bit there as well. A lot of these other teams are in domes, so maybe the dome ones are a little bit favorable spot to attack just in general. But um, when it comes to MLB DFS, I primarily play on FanDuel side. I'll throw lineups in occasionally on DraftKings. So if you guys have any specific like DraftKings questions, you can still ask them and I can try to take a look at them. Probably have to get back to you later at that point in time, but mainly focused on the FanDuel side for baseball. And part of that just too is on the FanDuel side, you only have to get one pitcher right. On DraftKings, you have to get two pitchers right in order to cash most days. So adds a little bit more variability there. Typically, if you are playing on DraftKings, you're going to want to like 20 max, 50 max, 150 max, just so you can get as much exposure to some of the better pitchers, especially on the slate like today overall. But FanDuel, there's going to be a lot of great options on pitching, obviously, with opening day being today. All these teams are essentially throwing their aces out there. So part of what I do in my process, just kind of explaining that since it is the first stream video for this year, obviously. I dig into a lot of past research, how these guys did against these teams pitching against them last year. Obviously, there are some players that change here and there as well. I list some notable hitter matchups. This is all up on my Patreon at patreon.com/Coach Craig Sports as well. So if you guys are interested in that small monthly donation, you get daily notes as well. Got my cheat sheet up that I put up on Twitter, I put up on Facebook, I put up on YouTube. So that's my daily cheat sheet for FanDuel, the guys that I kind of like just based on their price ranges. Obviously, you can play other guys that are not on there, but I'm only limited to about 3 per position, 6 for the outfield. So just keep that in mind as we do talk. If you got a specific question, once again, feel free to ask it in the live chat if you're watching live or on replay down in the comments. If there's any changes to my core picks throughout the day, I will update that as the day moves along as well. But kind of what I do have in terms of the core pick for today's slate initially. At the pitcher position, there's a lot of great options here today. I went with Hunter Green. He's probably going to be one of the chalkier options today too as well. Going against the Pittsburgh Pirates, not the greatest offensive team in the world, even though they have some good young players like O'Neal Cruz, Brian Hayes, who struggled a little bit last year. Brian Reynolds is obviously kind of a proven veteran at this point in time. I like some of the additions they did make, like G-Man Choi coming over, being a good on-base guy, but at the end of the day, this is not particularly potent offense. Hunter Green did have a lot of success versus them last year. He had the 2 starts that he against Pittsburgh last year, 50 fantasy points and 52 fantasy points on the FanDuel side at $9,100. If you're getting anything close to that, might not be as close to that just because pinch counts early on in the season. So we don't know how long every guy's going to pitch into games, but definitely a great option today. If you go over to my cheat sheet, I also like Blake Snell against the Rockies. He had a lot of success versus them last year when he wasn't pitching at Coors Field. That game is in San Diego tonight. So that is another good spot there. Colorado doesn't have the strongest offense in the world as well. And then Max Fried was another one going against Washington, who does not have a strong offense. You can look at other guys like Corbin Burns. I like a little bit. I want to get a little bit of exposure to a guy like Max Scherzer against the Marlins as well. But those would be kind of the 5 that really stand out to me overall today. If you want to throw Mitch Keller on the opposite side of this game, go right ahead and do that too, because Cincinnati, not the greatest offensive team in the world as well. And then in terms of my 4 core hitters, so just explain this a little bit. There'll be 5 core picks every day. There'll be 1 pitcher, 4 hitters. I try to mix up the hitters and not make it like 3 outfielders or one of this. I try not to double dip at like first base or certain positions. Every once in a while I will, just depending on their matchup versus that specific pitcher for the day. Just if something really, really stands out. But for today, at second base, we have Ozzie Albies. He is $3,500. The Braves team is going to be a very good and strong team to stack today, going against Patrick Corbin, who obviously struggled quite a bit last year. He had 19 losses, almost a 20-loss season. ERA over 6. Didn't have very much success against the Braves team as well. Ozzie Albies is 12 for 28 with 3 home runs. There's Patrick Corbin in his career, so obviously a lot of success there as well. Kind of a down year for him last year. He's banged up part of the year as well, but he's coming around. Spring training, hit 300 with 4 home runs. Obviously, spring training stats don't count for everything, but good history versus this pitcher. Good spring training. do like Ozzy Albies once again quite a bit today. And that's part of my process too. I look at past results and then kind of recent performances. But when we don't have really recent performances, we kind of have to dig a little bit into those spring training stats as well. Then we move down to Jose Miranda. He is $2,800 today. He's going against Zach Greinke. Smaller sample size for him against Greinke is 3 for 8 at $2,800. He looks pretty good. He had a decent season as a rookie last year. Kind of sucks that he doesn't have first base and third base eligibility on FanDuel, but at third base looks like a pretty solid option there overall. Greinke is not the pitcher he used to be. He's long in the tooth at this point in time. He's probably not going to pitch too far into the game as well. Kansas City bullpen could be a little bit hit or miss as well, so we'll just have to see how that all shakes out. But Jose Miranda had one of the strongest springs out of anybody this season as well. 325, hit 5 home runs. So a little bit more power on display. If he carries that over to the regular season, going to look pretty good overall. Obviously, a little bit colder spot, going against Kansas City today as well, though. And then we move down to shortstop. I have Willy Adames here. This is primarily based on previous success since he had kind of a slow spring. If you want to play somebody else instead of Willy Adames, I have no problems with that. He's kind of a streaky hitter. Kind of been my bad juju for core picks. I'll put him in one day, go for 4. Then the next day is the day that he hits the 2 home runs. But definitely some good upside with him today. He's going against Marcus Stroman. He is 7 for 13 with 2 home runs versus him in his career. He only had 200 in the spring. Decent amount of strikeouts there. He did have 1 home run though. So there is a lot of risk with him, but he's kind of that guy. One day you'll get the 0 for 4, the next day you'll get the 3 for 4 with 2 home runs. So just keep that in mind that he is kind of streaky. If you want to play somebody else in this position, feel free to do so as well. But just kind of a guy that I do like based on his previous success against Marcus Stroman. Then last but not least, we have Nick Gordon here. Obviously, the Twins are a team that I feel all right stacking today going against Zach Greinke. Obviously, Greinke is not the same pitcher he used to be. Kind of long in the tooth. Not sure how far he's going into that game, as I kind of already mentioned with Jose Miranda. But Nick Gordon is 7 for 11 versus him in his career. He's got 1 home run against him. He hit 259 in the spring, so nothing special there. But, a guy that does offer a little bit of speed, a little bit of power as well. So kind of some versatility there. He's only $2,400. So he's a pretty cheap price tag. And most people in this price range probably going to go to Jordan Walker because he's that hot rookie name. If you want to play him today, have no problems with that. But definitely like Nick Gordon as well. And it's already confirmed in the Twins starting lineup that he will be starting today. So let's see. Looks like Real BBB. That's kind of a handful of B's there. He said, I love Hunter Green today and also Pablo Lopez against the Royals. Yeah, Pablo Lopez could be another interesting one as kind of a pay down option as well today. I know when I was looking a little bit on DraftKings, like I said, I don't play a ton over there, but I have one lineup at least going for today. He doesn't look too bad over there as a cheaper price point as well. But there's a little bit more volatility with that Royals team. They do have some guys that can hit with, like MJ Melendez, Bobby Witt Jr., obviously. So there is a little bit more volatility there. Lopez can be a little bit hit or miss at times, but he does show good command at times as well. So does have some upside there. I like Hunter Green's upside going against Pittsburgh probably the most, but he's going to be one of the chalkiest pitchers overall today. So that is just something to keep in mind. And as I mentioned, got about 5 pitchers that I kind of have in mind of playing today just overall in the lineups that I will be rolling out. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed here, just scrolling up real quick, you have $13,900 remaining, just under $3,500 per player remaining. So you can pretty much build out your lineup any way you want from here if you choose to use these 5 guys. If you choose to use somebody else instead of Willy Adames, obviously the values will change very slightly. Also, check out my cheat sheet that I do have posted on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube for some other ideas of players to play as well. Those are guys that have had good success against the pitchers that they're facing today, or, they're just a pretty good value overall. And then with that being said, I'm going to stop sharing the screen. We'll move over, kind of talk about the teams that I am interested in stacking at least early on today. So let me bring this up real quick. So this is the bottom half of the cheat sheet here. So obviously talked a little bit about the Braves already, but, going against Patrick Corbin, very mightily struggled last year. Not the same pitcher he once was. The Braves hitters have a ton of success versus him. You can look at Ozzy Albies has a ton of success. Austin Riley does. Ronald Acuna Jr. doesn't have the home runs against him, but he still hit him decently well. Even Marcell Ozuna's got 2 home runs versus him. And Sean Murphy, obviously new to the team, doesn't have a lot of success versus him because he hasn't faced him yet. And then Travis d'Arnaud's done pretty well versus him. Orlando Arcia has been all right, and he's $2,000, and he can play multiple positions on FanDuel. So he's pretty interesting as well. If you want to throw Michael Harris in there, you can pretty much play anybody on Atlanta today, and they have a good shot of paying off. And then the Orioles faced Corey Kluber quite a bit last year. They've had pretty good success versus him as well. So if you want to play any of those Orioles hitters, stack some of them together, definitely don't have a problem with that. If you want to go after the young guy and Gunnar Henderson, that makes some sense. Anthony Santiago, Cedric Mullins have had some success versus him as well. So definitely some options there. Tampa Bay Rays going against Eduardo Rodriguez. A lot of these guys have pretty good success versus him. Rodriguez, a lot of injuries last year, so we're not sure exactly what he's going to be at when it comes to the start of this year. We don't know how deep he's going to pitch into the game as well. Detroit bullpen, kind of a big question mark there at this point in time too. So looking at Tampa Bay today as another potential team to stack. And then last but not least, at least for the 4 that I listed on here, if you go over to Patreon, there's more on there too as well. It's kind of potential maybes, but these were the 4 ones that really stood out to me. The Padres have very, very excellent history hitting against German Marquez. But Marquez was actually the spring training ERA leader too. So one of those things has to give. Hopefully he's on his game right away. But I do have a lot of interest in the Padres. Juan Soto's hit him well. Jake Cronenworth's hit him well. Manny Machado's hit him well. I'm trying to remember who else. There's quite a bit of you guys that just have hit him really well in the past. So don't mind going to the Padres hitters today. But with that being said, that's kind of the teams that I do have to stack. Once again, over on Patreon, patreon.com/Coach Craig Sports. Definitely be sure to check that out. Small monthly donation, and I'll have daily notes over there as well. Going through every single pitcher, kind of whether I have them in play, a risky play, whether I would avoid them, kind of their history versus the team. I look back at last year's stats, kind of their performances last year. So like I said, with Hunter Green, he had 50 points, 52 points versus Pittsburgh last year. Corbin Burns, I have his 3 starts listed in terms of fantasy points versus the Cubs last year. And then if they pitched, or if they didn't pitch for some, then obviously you can't have that. But just kind of some good basic information, at least get started, have some knowledge base, and save you guys a little bit of time as well. It takes me, about an hour and a half to dig through all that. So just saving you guys a little bit of time at the end of the day for that very small monthly donation. But that's pretty much what I do have in terms of today's Core Pick video, Core Pick live stream. Once again, if you guys do have any additional questions, feel free to drop them in the live chat. If you're still listening live, if you're watching on replay, leave it down in the comments. I'd be more than happy to help you guys out with that as well. Before I get out of here, I'll throw the Prize Picks promo code up on the screen. Obviously, with baseball season started, we still got NBA going on as well. We got XFL, USFL will be starting here and there too as well. NHL, we got multiple sports going on. So if you want to build different parlays over on Prize Picks, definitely a great site to check out there. If you have any more questions related to it, feel free to message me, whether it's down in the comments or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport. On Twitter, I try to put out some Prize Pick promos that I do like. Obviously, with baseball just starting up, with some of these pitchers we're not sure how deep they're going to pitch in the games and stuff like that. Once we get some more information going, I'll be putting out more I'll be putting out some more MLB Prize Picks lines that I do like in general. But if you use this when you first sign up, you get 100% first match deposit up to $100. Helps you out a little bit. It helps me out a little bit as well. Let's see. So we got Real BB here as well. So Hunter Renfroe versus Muller, who is the left-hander. So I believe that is a later game. Let me just check that real quick as well. So that one I believe is not on the main slate, but definitely Hunter Renfroe versus lefties usually crushes them just in general anyways. Let me see here real quick. I'm just going to pull this up because I know that is a later game, I do believe. So the Angels, come on, give me that. So that game starts at 10:07 Eastern time, 9:07 Central time. If you move over, you can figure out the time zones from there. Hunter Renfroe going against Kyle Muller should be a pretty good matchup. I don't know if they've ever faced each other. Let me click on Hunter Renfroe's name here real quick. I'll just bring this screen up as we're going to. So a lot of what I do pull up on RotoWire as well. So let me pull up Hunter Renfroe here down, and we'll see if he's ever faced him. I don't think he has, but we'll just scroll down and double check. So, and apparently it wanted to scroll back up on the page. So, give me a minute here as we scroll down. He has 1 at bat versus Kyle Muller. He is 0 for 1, but Hunter Renfroe is a guy that does hit left-handed pitching really well. So there is definitely a lot of power and a lot of upside there just in general with him. So that would be somebody I would consider. I'm not sure exactly what his price point is for tonight's game, since that will be on the late slate. But maybe I can throw a late slate lineup or some notes just in general together as the day moves along and kind of share them as well, whether it's on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all of that. But that's pretty much what I do have for today. If you guys are brand new to the channel, would appreciate it if you did take the time out of your day to subscribe. Definitely helps build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports. It is one that's definitely focused on you guys in the community, and then focusing mainly on DFS right now, starting off starting off MLB DFS. Got some NBA DFS still going on as well. There's only 2 games for today, so I'm not going to be doing a video for that if you guys watch that as well. XFL DFS video will be coming up later today. In a couple of weeks, we'll have USFL DFS as well. So a lot of DFS going around. So if you're interested in any of that at all, which I'm assuming you're interested at least in the MLB part, definitely be sure that you are subscribed, that you have that notification bell turned on so you never miss a beat. Also doing a couple NFL draft prospect interviews here and there as well. So if that's something you're interested in as well, go back on the channel and check those out as well. But do appreciate everybody that did take the time out of their day to tune in. Definitely means a lot to me. And I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day.